Wow, welcome, Mary. I just want to introduce my guest today. I'm Cheryl Ciecko from avoidingmold.com, and with me today is Mary Aileen Vogel, I believe. Is that how you say your name? I should have probably asked that.
Oh, very good.
Mary Aileen is a health and wellness practitioner and a transformational coach, and you've probably seen people with this advertise. It's very intriguing to me, and maybe it is to you as well, and that's why you're here. I hope so. Mary's passionate about working with women primarily, and who want to step back into their lives after spending years putting everybody else's lives ahead of their own, which is like the mom description right there. But maybe women of really any, even if you're not a mom, we tend to do it in the workspace, and I think that's kind of something we do, nurturing.
Yeah.
And so anyway, so she has a website. It's Essential Needs for Health, Needs, KNEADS. And I will post that in the notes or in the bottom where this gets shown so that you can know where to find out more about Mary. And but let's get started. So thank you for being here, Mary.
I'm so excited.
So I just want to give a little backstory. So why you're here, why we know each other.
Yes.
And it's a little bit of a personal thing for me in that I don't remember actually how, I think I found you on the internet.
I was trying to remember that as well. I didn't think anybody had introduced us. So yeah.
No, I think I just found, this was a Google match. Okay. And I found you, and you're close to me, but we have never met in person actually, I don't think.
No.
And then that was part of my journey of all my autoimmune stuff. And it was probably, I can't remember what that was even the biggest issue was then. But then later, a couple of years ago, I was having a rash, which I have one a little bit right now that's going away. But I started having cold sores on my lips like the week of my son's wedding. And I knew it was the stress of the wedding. And obviously I wasn't getting married, but being the parent of the bride or the groom is kind of stressful. And I was totally stressed out. And I had a moment when I would say, laying in bed thinking, what am I going to do? And then your name popped in my head. And I thought, I do know someone, maybe she can help. And I'm forever grateful because I think you did jump on a call with me like that week or the next day or something. It was like Tuesday or Monday and the wedding was on.
Yeah, the wedding was very close. So
yeah. And, but anyway, it helped. What my work with Mary actually, I believe helped for sure. It did go away like just in time. So with all those pictures and everything, you would never have known that I had cold sores on my lips a few days before. And, so that's how we know each other. And so when I was thinking about all these clients that I have and people who are following me in the mold world, and I feel bad because so many people are so stressed. They're very stressed and they're suffering. Mm-hmm. And I think I recommended you to one of my clients in particular, but I thought, oh my gosh, I should contact you because maybe there's some insights and maybe there's some things that might help someone else on their journey.
Yes. And we're all on a journey. Every one of us has a journey, and any tips, any tools that can help us on that, I am all for sharing.
So now let's talk about what you do, and then we can talk about how you do it.
Sure. Uh-huh. So I live in the Chicagoland area. I'm in Naperville, Illinois. And I first started off as a licensed massage therapist. And going to massage school just opened up a whole new world for me. And so from there, I'm a licensed massage therapist. I am an EFT or emotional freedom techniques or tapping practitioner. I'm a Reiki master. I am a cupping practitioner. So I wear a lot of different hats, but in its simplest form, what I absolutely love doing is educating my clients and giving them the tools that they can use immediately right after a session. They can use it on a daily basis, on an hourly basis, every 5 minutes if they need to, but a way to turn off the stress response. because the stress response, even doctors agree that 80 to 90% of the complaints that people come to doctors with is stress related. So stress, and now, with the COVID and just because of our lifestyle, we're all under stress all the time. So anything that we can do to turn off that stress response, it's going to benefit us not only physically, but mentally and emotionally as well. So to me, that's the ultimate self-care, is turning off the stress response.
Yeah. And so that's the connection then I think that I was sensing in bringing you on, was that our health, when somebody has a health issue, then the body is already stressed.
Oh, absolutely.
And so, and whether for me with it, something really wonderful like a wedding, but you have all the back stuff, everybody has their family, whatever stuff that becomes stressful. It still comes out, and it feels like it makes us sick, actually.
Oh, yes, absolutely. That's why I love, like, if we could, I would love for children in school to be taught some techniques for turning off the stress response, because if we can really manage stress, and I know that's thrown out all the time, manage your stress better. Doctors even say it, manage your stress. But how do I specifically do that in a way that I'm going to feel that it's working? If we can teach people how to turn off the stress response before, they have physical symptoms showing up, or, emotional things showing up. If we can turn that off, we're ahead of the game. But even if somebody presents themselves with physical symptoms, with the cold sores, with chronic, back pain, or, relationship issues, even money issues, all of that creates stress. So even if someone comes to me already with their life or their body speaking to them with symptoms, we look at where you're at. And a lot of times, I really like clients to be able to accept where they're at. And when you say that to somebody, about accepting that, you've got these chronic issues going on, people immediately don't want to accept that, because they feel that if I accept what's going on, that means I'm okay with it, and it'll just keep continuing. When in reality, the opposite is true. If I just accept where I'm at, what's showing up in my life, it literally takes me out of a place of resistance, so that then I can move forward. So people show up, and it's like, okay, this is where they're at. They know what they don't want. So then we get clear on what it is they do want. But then we've got, here they are, what they don't want, here's what they do want. There can be this big gap in between. That's what I love to work with, is that gap. So what's in that gap? It's everyday stress. It's limiting beliefs, mostly that we learned in childhood. It is emotions that we have either, denied, haven't expressed. We've, internalized emotions, and a lot of women are good at doing that. And it's also, traumas that we've had in our life, and, experiences. And we can have traumas with a big T or traumas with a small t, but there's still experiences we've had that we haven't processed. So that's in that gap in between, where we are and where we want to get to. And that, like I said, that's where the magic is. When we can begin to work in that, we close that gap, and that's when people can begin to feel happier. Their health can improve, their relationships can improve. So, working in that gap, like that's that sweet spot. I love that spot. And people are afraid to go there sometimes, but the techniques that I use it's very gentle. So I'm not going to throw anybody back into any traumatic, experience. But what we're doing is we're processing it in a way that energy it no longer needs to stay in the body. So we can move it, and then it becomes, oh, this was excuse my French, but this was a shitty thing that happened to me, rather than the body going into fight or flight every time you might think of that experience.
Okay, so I'm trying to figure out how to describe how this will help my audience, and I see so many connections. One thing I do want to touch on though is that, so I think when I first saw you, I had autoimmune disease. I actually don't have signs of it anymore, but I had autoimmune disease
Congratulations.
that are, that were not curable.
Yeah.
And so a lot of the people that end up with mold illness have other health issues, and they can be really, really debilitating health issues, from things like chronic fatigue to MS to other kinds of paralysis, brain stuff, cognitive problems of focus, anxiety, insomnia is really big. But one of the things that the people that, and this has been me too, I mean, I've been exposed to toxins too, so I actually know all those things and how they feel, was though that you're discounted. And that there's people out there, including doctors, who'll tell you, oh, it's all in your head. Like they will say, yeah, you just need to reduce stress and you'll be fine. Or there's mold everywhere, which is in fact true. I will say that there is mold everywhere, but it should not be in your house. And we shouldn't be having massive doses of it. And that there are health issues documented related to that. And so people are not being taken seriously about their health issues. And then, so there's always a little bit with the brain that well, wait, are you saying that it's all in my head? And it's no, I would say no, but how would you respond to that?
No, it's absolutely not all in the head. If things are showing up in our life, it's there because of something. But when let's say I had an autoimmune thing going on and they thought it was all in my head. But the thing is, if I think about the autoimmune, the autoimmune disease or what it's doing to my body, or that I wake up with pain, just my thinking about that creates more stress in my body. And when the body is under stress, it doesn't feel safe. So when that fight or flight response, gets triggered, our body doesn't feel safe. If our body doesn't feel safe, it's going to be a lot harder to heal. So it's not about blaming anybody and saying like, oh yeah, this is all in your head or you created it. Absolutely not. None of that. But what it is saying, I'm going to do what I can to, anytime I recognize that I'm in stress, turn off that stress response. Because when we're in a stress response, the body floods us with cortisol, norepinephrine, adrenaline. You know how when you get scared, your heart starts going. And when our body is consistently flooded with that, like I said, it doesn't feel safe. Our bodies are designed to heal. They want to be in a state of homeostasis. I mean, that's been documented, since medicine began. So, but if our body doesn't feel safe because we're constantly getting that stress response, then, like I said, it's much harder for the body to heal. So even if doctors think, well, it's all in your head, if we take responsibility and say, well, I'm going to do whatever I can to turn off that stress response so my body in its own innate knowledge can heal me, then I'm going to do that.
Right. You're a step ahead. So it's not that necessarily, I have people who are living in mold and so there's two things that happen. They're living in mold and they feel like they can't get out. And and sometimes it can be very, very difficult, whether it's money or family or whatever.
Right.
And then there's people that have been through a cleaning process. And I would argue sometimes maybe they still have a little bit of mold because it's very difficult to get that done really well. But so my question, I guess, is can we at least reduce the burden? So even if you were still having some stressors that's in your life and that's a burden on your health.
Yes.
Does this piece help to remove the burden so that?
Yes. And here, let's say I'm living in an environment where there is mold and I can't get out. But if I wake up every morning and my first thought is, oh my God, here I am in this moldy house, and that's running that stress response. So if in that moment that I recognize that I'm stressed, now my favorite to go to technique is the tapping, the EFT, the emotional freedom technique. If every morning, let's say I woke up and I'm running that program, if I began tapping on specific points on the body that scientifically have been shown to turn off the stress response, just by my tapping on these points, I'm going to tell the body, it's okay to calm down. Yes, I'm still in this environment, but I can calm down, because again, when my body feels safe, it can heal. But when I'm adding in all these other stressors, just that thought of, oh my God, I can't, like if I was to tap, oh my God, I can't leave this house, I don't have enough money, if I was to do a tapping session for myself, I'm going to turn off that stress response. Even though nothing changes on the outside, I'm changed on the inside. My body can now relax and it can begin the healing process. Does that make sense?
Yeah, I think that's a good explanation. I think for my audience, we have to go over a little bit what tapping is, and maybe, I don't know, how do you even come to this thing? I know I knew about it, which is why I think I searched you out through knowing that was a possible tool that would be helpful. Yeah. So, but I think I may have people that will watch this that have no idea what it is.
Right. Okay.
So if you could go over that.
Yeah. So EFT stands for Emotional Freedom Techniques. It's sometimes abbreviated, just EFT or tapping. Now, in Chinese medicine, they mapped out 14 different energy pathways in the body. If I was to go for acupuncture, there are specific points on the body that the acupuncturist could put a needle in, because that's going to affect the energy running through that pathway. So just imagine in your body, you have, we have 6 on one side, 6 on the other side, 1 up the front and 1 up the back. And just imagine that imagine that each of these are like a highway. And so when traffic is flowing really, really well, right? Everybody's just going along, no problems at all. And so, but when there's an accident, what happens? You might be really cruising thinking, wow, this is great, I'm cruising. And then, 5 miles down the road, it's like, dead stop. So that's kind of, think of that like our energy pathways. When we are managing our stress, when we're, feeling good, that energy is, when we're eating well, that energy is flowing very good. But that energy can get blocked. So these specific points on the body that an acupuncturist might use, or what we might use in tapping, they are specific pathways along the energy pathway where it's easiest to access the energy, if that makes sense. So
is this related to acupuncture? Is it similar to acupuncture?
Well, yes, because the way it's related to acupuncture is, again, when we're tapping, we are tapping on specific points that correspond to those energy pathways that have been mapped out in Chinese medicine. So if I went, let's say I was having issues with my bladder, this is right here. This is the first point on the bladder meridian or the bladder pathway. This is the first point for stomach. This is the first point for large intestine. So when an acupuncturist, yes, might put a needle like right here. But instead of using needles, we have our fingertips that we can use to create that little bit of a vibration that is going to affect the energy channel, just like it would if we went for acupuncture. And so scientifically, it has been shown by doing this tapping that we turn off the stress response in the body. So we all have what's called an amygdala. It's in the primitive part of our brain. And that amygdala, think of that amygdala as the fire alarm of the body. So the amygdala was designed that, a caveman is out hunting and he sees a saber-toothed tiger. Well, his body is going to alert him, danger, danger. Okay. Mm-hmm. So he either fights it, he kills it, or he runs away. And then boom, the stress goes down and he goes back to doing his little hunting. Well, in modern day, we still have that little primitive brain. It hasn't evolved as we have evolved. So if the computer crashes, boom, my body goes, we're in danger. So scientifically, when the stress response gets triggered, that when that amygdala fires, it sends out the cortisol, the adrenaline, the norepinephrine. It floods the body with these stress hormones. Now, we were designed to have an experience, oh my God, and then be fine. But what happens in modern day now, it's like, oh my God, oh my God, oh my God, oh my God. So we're constantly flooded with those stress hormones. They never have a chance to leave us. So that can create energy blockages in the body. So when we're tapping on these specific points, it sends a signal to the amygdala that says, okay, you're out of danger. And they did a study where they had 3 different groups. One group did nothing. They read magazines. Another group did an hour of tapping, and another group did an hour of talk therapy. And they measured the cortisol levels, because cortisol is one of the biggest stress hormones. They measured the cortisol levels before starting, and then they measured it after. And the group who did the tapping, the cortisol levels significantly went down.
More than both of the other groups?
More than both of the other groups. It went down for just the talk therapy, but it went down the most in the group that did the tapping.
So is this something that's a universal thing, or when was this discovered? Everybody who does tapping does it the same way. I can see that, and I can't even remember the steps. It's been a couple years, but that it's there's certain parts that you're tapping on. I remember kind of, but I don't even remember the sequence. Is that a standard thing that it always has to be done that way, and everybody?
Well, so when it first started, Roger Callahan was a psychotherapist, and he first used it to help somebody to get over a water phobia. So tapping is great for, it's great for anxiety. It's great for phobias, just everyday stress. But he found that he developed, let's say he goes, okay, somebody has a phobia. So they've got to tap here first, then they tap here next, then they tap here next. So he had all of these different protocols. But then, and I'm trying to...
for different problems, a water phobia, you do this sequence. If you have a nickel allergy like me, you do this sequence.
Yes. But then, I'm trying to blank on his first name, Craig. Craig is his last name. It'll come to me. But so he was training under Roger Callahan, and he was like, okay, why can't we just tap all of the points and cover everything?
Oh, I see. He was doing streamlined points, and then what you're teaching and what most people who are doing tapping are teaching is all the points.
Yeah, because he's saying, well, let's cover them all, and they should, benefit everything. So so he really made that mainstream. And there's a specific protocol to do, but it's just so that it's easy to remember. So just some of the points are, right at the inner eyebrow, the outer eye, under the nose, the chin. We hit, collarbone point. We hit under the arm, and then on the top of the head. Now, those are only, there are points that I throw in where we do the side of the hand, and also where I turn the wrist and we're tapping the inner wrist. So there's a lot of points. If you go for acupuncture, they could put needles all over you. So there's points all over us, but they just figured this way we're getting most of those energy pathways. So again, scientifically, it's been shown by tapping on these specific points, you send that calming signal to the brain. And even from the first session, people can immediately, the reason I love this is because people feel it in their own body. They feel the shift. Before we start a session, I might say, well, what's the intensity of the anxiety? What's the intensity of the pain? And then we'll go through this tapping, and then we check that again, and the numbers just keep, coming down and down and down. Somebody might start at a 10, and then we'll do several rounds, and they might be like, oh, I'm at a 2, So you always want to check in, because it's so fascinating to me that, sometimes somebody will start at a 10, and then when you get done, you're like, hey, how do you feel? And they're like, well, I feel better. It really wasn't that big of an issue anyway. And it's like, okay, but you were at a 10 out of 10 when we started. So it's a technique that you literally can begin using right away. And they use this a lot for war veterans.
Oh, for like post-traumatic stress?
It's wonderful for post-traumatic stress disorder. Absolutely. Absolutely. So again, it's a technique where I don't want to throw anybody worse into a stress response. Like if somebody, I'll just share with you, I worked with a woman, she's a dear friend now, but at the beginning I didn't know her, but she came to me, her daughter at age 16 had been raped and murdered. That's, yes. See, I got goosebumps.
I do too. It's like, okay, well, you just kind of hit the trifecta of like, could it get, there's nothing worse.
There's nothing worse. As a mother, there's nothing worse. Now she had, I made sure that
yeah, no, I was expecting, like her husband died, which is still terrible.
Yeah. Yeah. So honestly, I prayed before. I was like, oh God, like, I don't know how to help this woman. I'm not a therapist, that I tell clients too. Like, I'm not a licensed therapist. But I was so like, how do I help her? And what came to me, just teach her these techniques. So, obviously when I was working with her, I didn't want to re-traumatize her and bring that all up. So we did things in a very, very gentle way. But she will tell you, and she saw many therapists, and she did the EMDR, and all of that helped. I'm not taking anything away from that. But she literally said, I was the first person out of all of that gave her hope, that gave her the ability to laugh again. And that, to me, that makes me cry.
Oh, yeah, no, I feel that too. That's great.
Yeah. But
I just want to touch on, you said that you're not a psychologist. And I just want to, so what exactly is a wellness practitioner and coach, and how did you come to do this?
So, like you said in the beginning, transformational coach, again, that's kind of like a phrase that, it's just thrown out. And so, when I was in massage school, obviously that's a form of wellness. Let's take care. We used to joke that our issues are in our tissues. Which
I love massage. I'm like a big fan of moving the lymph and all that.
Exactly. So, our issues are in our tissues. I'm huge into energy. I mean, everything is energy. I'm not, that's not woo-woo. Everything is made up of energy. Some things vibrate at a higher speed than others, So if everything is energy, as we have experiences, if we don't have the conscious tools, the strategy, or the support to fully process what's going on, our subconscious mind, as a way to protect us, will bury the experiences, and it'll bury, all the sensory data around that. But at some point in our life, we do have the ability to connect to that, to heal. And that's the language of the subconscious mind is symptoms. So when I tell my clients that, symptoms are, gifts in strange wrapping paper, they look at me like I have three heads, because who would say a migraine is a gift, who would say chronic pain is a gift? But it's a way the subconscious mind is speaking to us to say, hey, there's stuff here for you to look at. So if everything's an energy, and if it doesn't get processed, it's going to stay in the body. Now,
so if someone has like a burn, like you actually have, like, you're going to have back surgery or something. So if you just use a pain one, you have a broken leg, you're going to have surgery to put it back.
Yes.
You can't make the leg heal itself. You still need to put the bones back together and have the doctor do their thing. But so that's where I think what we hear a lot of in the mold world and I just want to be sensitive for people that we're not saying that they don't have that. One, mold isn't toxic, because it is.
Oh, it is very toxic.
And that this may help you, but you still have to get out of mold. You can't be exposed to a toxin and just decide you can do this and still be poisoned. You know, it may make it easier to get out because you'll get in control. That's the way I'm.
Oh, absolutely. Again, when we can turn off, when we can tap, when we can turn off the stress response, then, well, so when we're in the stress response, we can lose up to 80% of the blood in our thinking brain. That's a lot. 80% of the blood in our thinking brain. We're not designed to think our way out of an emergency. You know, what you hear people, you know, someone's laying under a car, you know, people jump into action, you know, and they lift the car. They're not standing there going, okay, let's see now. You know, my mechanical brain says we need to be over, you know what I mean? We're not designed to think our way out of an emergency. So we lose up to 80% of the blood in our thinking brain. It goes to our extremities so that we can take action. So when we can turn off the stress response, bring the blood back up to the brain, now we can think with more clarity. Now we get ideas. Now we say, oh, let me call this person, you know, let me try this. So absolutely, to me, wellness isn't one technique. Wellness is bringing in everything. It might be bringing in, you know, the doctor. Obviously, right. If I have a broken leg, take me to the hospital. I'm not going to tap and hope it heals, but I will use tapping later to deal with the stress, to deal with the pain, to deal with, oh my God, now I have a broken leg. I can't walk the dog. Who am I going to get to walk the dog? You know, those are all those things then it can help with. So to me, wellness encompasses more than just one technique. Wellness is bringing in the knowledge of, you know, Chinese medicine, of, you know, traditional doctor, of, you know, nutrition, you know, it's all combined. So, but I think the key thing is if whatever's going on, you know, in our life, if we have the added stress of, you know, of just trying to deal with that, it's harder for the body to heal.
Right. And I have actually seen that in my experience. One of my children, my daughter, actually is very sensitive. And so she's been the one that started my journey. So 16 years ago, she was 10 and now she's 26. So she's kind of, it's been a very up and down road. She's doing great. But what we have found for her is that if she can eat really well and not have stress and get exercise, which is moving the lymph, then some minor exposures she may be able to withstand without much repercussions.
Yeah.
If she adds in stress, or she's in California, she added in fire from the forest fires. Right. Oh, suddenly it was like no go. Yeah. And she couldn't have I don't think she could have tapped her way out of you know, the responses that she was getting from that big toxin exposure.
No, but what she could
now she's got it stuck, I think.
Yes. And what she could have tapped on was the fear. Because my daughter is in California too. And you know, she had a bag packed and ready to go. That's the stuff you can tap on. And when you bring, you know, more blood back to the thinking brain, you're able to think, you know, clearly. When your body begins to feel safer, you know, you're going to have more resources that you know, that pop into your head when you're not in that place of stress. So absolutely, we have environmental stress, you know, we have nutritional stress, we have, you know, physical stress on the body, you know. But when we add in the mental stress as well, you know, it can be a volatile combination. So if we can do enough to turn off that stress response, again, we give our body a better chance at healing. So to me, a wellness practitioner isn't somebody like as a wellness practitioner, I might say to you, hey, here's a great nutritionalist, or check out a nutritionalist, or, you know, you might want to go to an acupuncturist. To me, a wellness practitioner isn't like the end all be all, but they can see all the different parts that might benefit the whole.
Okay. And so what do you do specifically as a coach wellness? So if somebody wanted to say, okay, I'm resonating with this, which is where I came to, I think I just scheduled a discovery call, which I think you still have basically.
Yeah.
You can talk a little bit about that and who would be a good fit maybe.
Yeah. So yes, when people, and back to the EFTs for just 1 second. So, Gary Craig, I knew his brain was come to me. So Roger Callahan, had all the protocols. Gary Craig, shortened it. And then Nick Ortner is real big in the tapping world right now too, because he's made it very mainstream. He's the one who launched like the project to do the research for the, or he was involved with the research for the, using it with the veterans for PTSD. He's really big on trying to get it into the school systems. So it is becoming more mainstream as far as people hearing, tapping and everything like that. So it's a lot easier to come by now. If you just even typed into Google tapping, you will get, a lot of information, will come up. So somebody might find me, they might look up tapping, or they might see a video or something. So they'll usually call and we'll discuss, okay, where are you at right now? What's going on in your life? It might be financial stress. It might be relationship stress. It might be physical stress. It's not, it's not always just one thing. And then I really, think, okay, can I help them with what I know, either massage or the tapping or doing, some other types of energy work. Would I be a good fit for helping them with this piece? And if not, I'll make suggestions too. Hey, maybe an acupuncturist would be good for you to do, or have you seen a doctor, and then, but anybody who comes, when we do the tapping, like I said, we're all stressed with, pretty much everything nowadays. So, even during that first session, somebody is going to feel some relief. Now, if it resonates with them, great. But what I love to do is to teach people so that they're not dependent on me. Like it does take, a couple of sessions to really kind of get okay, now I got it. I understand, how we first start out with saying everything negative. And people are like, oh, I don't want to say the negative because I don't want to keep that, I don't want to keep affirming that. But the truth is, if we don't speak to where we're at, I love Louise Hay. She once said, if you want to clean a house, you have to see the dirt. So basically, we first start tapping on all the dirt that's coming up. And then we start to throw in some, more positive things. So somebody right away is going to feel better. But after they've had a couple of sessions with me, I fully want them to please, go off and tap on your own. Do it daily. Like when I first started tapping, though, I'll be honest, a few times I would like start to cry and go, oh my God, I have to tap again. I felt like I was tapping every 5 minutes, like I said, because I really reckon, shoot, like that triggered me. That triggered me. That. But the more you tap, the more you're turning off that stress response. And then one day you're going to go like, oh my God, like that didn't even trigger me. So my goal as a wellness practitioner, as a transformational coach, is to teach these tools so that people then can go off and use them on their own. I don't want people to be dependent on me. Like, oh, I have to go to Mary so that I can, heal. I'm not the healer. Your body is the healer. But let's give it the tools so that it feels safe so it can heal.
Oh, wow. That's really great. Yeah, that's really powerful. Well said.
Good.
So we're going to put your links in the bottom. And then before we got on, we talked a little bit about, so just for people that have seen my videos, and I told Mary this already, that I've turned out to have a nickel allergy. And so I had a rash on my face and my chest and my back and my arms, which is very awful. And you were giving me a tip of something that I think anybody can do that's trying to overcome something, and a lot of people have mold allergies or mold sensitivities or multiple chemical sensitivities.
Right.
So because they've been exposed to one toxin, which was, I mean, I've already been exposed to mold too, but I've kind of gotten past that. Then I got exposed to this, and all of a sudden my body is just stressed. It's just everything.
Right.
You know, I've had to change anything stainless steel. I can't use the same forks. I have to use plastic, and the cookware and my toothpaste, my natural organic toothpaste that I buy online that I thought was, I mean, if I muscle test myself, it says, yeah, it's good for me. Can I tolerate it? No.
Right.
Okay.
Yeah.
It would be great for your teeth. It would help your teeth to be white and they wouldn't be decayed, but your body can't tolerate it.
Yeah.
And so if we could end on that kind of and teach people, if you were teaching me a little something, and I thought it was really cool. Yeah. And I also want the recording of it. So, maybe we could share that as our final tip for getting through this interview to this point. I think we could talk more because this has been really interesting. It's always interesting for me to talk to you anyway. But I think the synergies that I see for people that are struggling with the things that I've struggled with and can relate to, and who are then following me because they've been through some of the same things. Right. I think it's a really important piece. Again, like you said, not everything. Right. But a piece. And I'm always feeling like, okay, if someone, if we have to stop drinking coffee for a while, and there may be some things that we still have to do, but and this is what I would tell my kids is, okay, if you want to stay in that moldy apartment, you got to reduce every other burden that, and so for my college kids who were living in moldy apartments, which is almost inevitable.
Yeah. It's just,
it was like, okay, no drinking, no fried food, no cheese, no gluten, right. No chemicals, no food coloring. I mean, that really, if they wanted to stay and not be sick, then they could maybe get by for a short period of time. I don't think this could be a permanent fix. Right. But this would be another tool, I think, that would help people. And then once they have post-traumatic stress from having endured whatever they endured. Yeah. I've been there where I hired the wrong people and they came and made everything worse and all that. And then to get past that, this just seems ideal.
Yes. Yes. So just to back up for 1 second, when you said, okay, so you have to give up coffee or alcohol, whatever, that can create stress for people. So that's what, like, where I would use tapping, so I start tapping, like, now again, excuse my French, but this is how I would tap if it was me. Like, holy shit, what do you mean I have to give up coffee? No, I can't give up my coffee. I need my cup of coffee, so I would tap on that stress of having to give that up, so that then you get to that point where you'll feel like, okay, yeah, I have to give up the coffee, but it doesn't throw you into fight or flight every morning when you go like, I want that coffee. Does that make sense?
Yeah. That's, we could talk for a really long time.
So tapping, like I said, when I said I was using tapping every 5 minutes, it was because of, it's not just for these big things. When you use it on these little things, well, giving up coffee can be a big thing. But when you use it, it has a cumulative effect. So, so I just had to say it because I don't know, when you said give up coffee, I'm like, yeah, that's going to stress people out. So that's where I would use the tapping. So if that helps people to kind of even see like, wow, okay, you use it for, something like that. But every morning you don't want to wake up and have that stress response that you can't have your cup of coffee. So you tap, you calm the system down, basically. You get to that point where you accept it, but it doesn't run the stress response. So, so that's just a little piece of like I said, like I'd be like, if that was us, if I was working with you, I'd be going, okay, let's tap on that. You can't have your coffee. How does that make you feel?
Yeah.
So, but before we started, yes, we're talking, you were talking about that, the
rash.
The rash, yes. There's just, I had learned a technique, it's called the lifeline technique. And part of it is about harmonizing the body. To me, it's another way to reduce the stress. If we put our hand in this position, this is the universal sign for I love you. Yep, that's it. That's the universal, the universal sign for I love you. And if we just put that up to our chest, even if we did nothing else, go ahead and just close your eyes for a second. And just say out loud or in your head, just say infinite love and gratitude.
Infinite love
and gratitude.
And gratitude.
Infinite love and gratitude to my body.
Infinite love and gratitude to my body.
Thank you, body.
Thank you, body.
Infinite love and gratitude.
Infinite love and gratitude.
You're going through so much.
You're going through so much.
Infinite love and gratitude.
Infinite love and gratitude.
Thank you, body.
Thank you, body.
In this moment.
In this moment.
I am well.
I am well.
In this moment.
In this moment.
It's safe for me to relax.
It's safe for me to relax.
Infinite love and gratitude.
Infinite love and gratitude.
Thank you, body.
Thank you, body.
Just take a breath. And just check in with your body. And how do you feel just by doing that?
Yeah, it's weird, weirdly effective.
It is. So let's go back to the rash, to the nickel. So this is another thing you can do is infinite love and gratitude.
Infinite love and gratitude.
Harmonizing 100%.
Harmonizing 100%.
Of any and all aspects.
Of any and all aspects.
Of nickel.
Of nickel.
In my mind, my body, and my spirit.
In my mind, in my body, and in my spirit.
Infinite love and gratitude.
Infinite love and gratitude.
Harmonizing nickel.
Harmonizing nickel.
All of its properties.
All of its properties.
Thank you, body.
Thank you, body.
We're safe.
We're safe.
Infinite love and gratitude.
Infinite love and gratitude.
Take a breath. If you even just did that, throughout the day, like when you're stressed, when you think about the rash, so if I was to muscle test you, so that's something that I do too, is, kinesiology, muscle reflex testing, where somebody's on the arm. If I first had tested you and had you just think of nickel, chances are, you would go weak because it's a toxin in your body. And if you were to just go infinite love and gratitude, thank you, body, infinite love and gratitude, and I muscle tested you again, you would be strong.
Oh, wow.
You most definitely would be strong. Now, can you get thrown out of that again and again and again? Absolutely. Absolutely. But by continuously, just taking those few minutes and doing that, it's sending that calming signal. You're sending that love and that gratitude to your body, which strengthens your body.
Mm-hmm.
So, and here's another way that I just use this. If I find that I get triggered, let's say I don't have time to do the tapping. And how do we know we get triggered? Because we don't feel good. We feel frustrated. We feel angry. We feel anxiety. We feel, all of these negative emotions. That's our cue. Hey, you've just gotten triggered. Mm-hmm. So let's say I get triggered. Even if I don't know what it is that triggered me, but I start, let's say I start feeling very anxious, even if I don't know what it is, I would do this, put my hand like this, and I would just say, infinite love and gratitude to the younger part of me that just got triggered. Infinite love and gratitude to this younger part of me feeling very anxious. Infinite love and gratitude. Thank you, body. You are safe. Infinite love and gratitude. And it's enough to shift you out of that, that stress without even knowing what it is. Because when we get triggered, it's again, see, we could talk forever, and I'm so sorry. But no. Just recognize that when we get triggered, it's usually, most of the time, coming from a younger part of us.
Oh, that's like the childhood thing?
Exactly. It's like something happened. We didn't know how to process it. The subconscious mind buried it. Well, now it keeps showing up as a way to say, hey, now you can heal this. Like, because how many of us have been fine and then all of a sudden we feel anxious? I mean, I know I'm not alone in that.
Yeah, no, completely. I mean, I'll be like, oh, I don't know why, but I just feel like.
Exactly. Well, yes. Well, it's a younger part of you that got triggered. So even if you don't know what it is, if you can tap or if you can do this and just infinite love and gratitude to the younger part of me, feeling this anxiety, we are safe, infinite love and gratitude, all is well. It's safe to relax. You are going to turn that stress response off.
Okay. Well, that is so cool. I'm going to do that, and I'm going to be scheduling an appointment. But I hope this was
how it if any of your clients give it a try, if it works for them, because it's a little tool that you can use. Let's say you're at the doctor's office or you're sitting in traffic, just give it a try. Just infinite love and gratitude, letting your body know in this moment I am safe.
So I feel like I'm going to make T-shirts and sell them to my team. It's going to say infinite love and gratitude on it. And then this will be our sign. It's like a secret handshake.
Exactly.
Of love. And then you get this is
exactly. For the longest time, I would, like, if I would wave to someone, I'd go like, hi, and I would talk like this all the time. And I one day I was like, oh my God, I automatically go to but you know what, in a way, hey, if I'm going to talk to you and send you infinite love and gratitude, that's not a bad thing,
No. Well, we'll hopefully if everyone that's watching this and comment below this video and let us know what you think. I'll have below here where to reach out, Mary's website, obviously. And if she'd be helpful, I think you work remotely. You can work with anybody anywhere. Is that right?
Yes, I do Zoom or on the phone. Yes. Massage I have to do in person.
It's hard to do that one remotely. There are some things that are going to be not virtual.
Yes, exactly. Yeah. But this was so fun. Thank you. And thank you to your audience for, for their time, for watching it. And it's always fun to connect with you.
Okay. Well, thank you. And I'll see everybody on the next video.